One. Awesome. I am 1 minute late and I'm annoyed with myself. Just wanted to yes. Let me switch the logo real quick. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry, I am 1 minute late. I'm usually not a late person, but I messed up. I forgot one simple thing that I should have put in the itinerary, which is actually to create the description for the description box for tonight's episode. So that's on me. I totally forgot. Just I guess my headspace is just not here right now. So preparation was poor. I give myself a C- for that. A+ for effort because I managed to get it within about 1 minute late, more or less. But anyways, hi, welcome to the Fulfilling Destiny podcast, or FD podcast for short. I'm your host, Jan-Marini Pacleb, and with me today are two guests who was actually here from the first episode, Francesca, Guerrero, and Ruth Ortiz. But before you unmute yourselves, let's just want to get some things out of the way first. So for this episode, if anyone can see the description box below now, we will be talking about some growing pains. And what I mean by growing pains is that sometimes when we grow up, there's just sometimes when we grow up, we go through some really rough growing phases. Puberty, adolescence is very hard for some. We experience different body changes, hormone imbalances, or we're trying to struggle with our roles in our world, so socially, culturally, and in the family as well. So some of those things could bring up some uncomfortable topics, but as I said before in the first episode of the podcast, is that the point of having these conversations is that we need to learn how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable topics that do come up in a conversation. And I can see these two are laughing over here right now because my words are getting quite mixed up right now. But like I said, so to the listeners who are listening live right now, just be wary that some topics may or may not be triggering for you. So like I said, urge some caution. Some topics might come up that might be just a little bit harder to listen to. You're more than welcome to tune it out until I edit this video. In post-production, I will be adding timestamps, adding in some captions, and among those other things. So for those who are trying to listen to this on Spotify, you would have to wait until tomorrow until I could get all those things started. Okay? Alright, so now we can finally unmute our guest and have them hop in. So welcome back, Francesca and Ruth. Welcome back to another episode with me. Say hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
I always love your intros, Ruth. Last time it was like, yo, what's up? I am here for this. Oh, gosh. Which is great because... Oh, there's Editor-san. Sorry, Editor-san, I forgot to add you in sooner. Did I decline it? There he is. Okay.
Oh, there's Editor-san.
There's Editor-san. So as before, Editor-san will always be muted. He is just here to check in to see if the audio is going well. So as far as I know, he's just chilling right now, right? Well, too bad he can't give me a thumbs up. So he just says hello. Anyways, before I get too carried away from the nerves of having another episode live, just wanted to do an 8th month check-in. So what I mean by that is that for some of us, I think the majority of us that are here with me right now on this podcast, we have been in quarantine, or we've at least been staying home for a little over 8 months now. And I just wanted to ask, like, how has everyone been doing lately? 8th month's going into 9 months of mostly staying at home. It's been kind of a rough year, to say the least. How's everyone doing? I'm gonna pass this off to you first, Francesca.
I mean, it's been kind of a struggle, just, not going a little bit crazy, staying at home all the time, because I just go to work and come back, go to work and come back. So the days meld together pretty easily.
Go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work, go to work.
Yeah, so it's not the best time, but it could be worse. Could be better, could be worse. So we're just pushing through for now.
Pushing through. Yeah, I feel that. Not that I could say I could go to work, not getting paid for it at least. It's just been working on my personal hobbies and the organizations I volunteer for. That's more or less what I've been doing for 8 months. So not much has changed really, except maybe I've been a little bit more courageous going out to actually do some shopping for myself, so making my parents do it all the time. And then the amount of takeout I could get in a week is a little a little concerning.
It's a little bit over the top right now. But hobbies are always good to have.
Oh yeah, hobby building. I mean, other than that, it's been more or less the same. What about you, Ruth?
Like, I have school and work online.
How's that going?
So it's just like, I mean, there are pros and cons to it, but I definitely prefer working and being at school in person, just because it's so much harder for everyone to focus and feel motivated in this kind of environment. Yeah, so, and plus you can never tell how someone's really doing behind a screen. Like, Editor-san is a black screen with a name right now to me right now, and that's majority of the kids that I work with, and so you just don't know what to expect from them, you know?
I like
Were
that.
they not supposed to know about Editor-san?
Oh no, they know.
No, they know who. I just think it's funny because you're calling out Editor-san right now. You
No.
might you might as well
His
show
comment.
you might as well show your face, Editor-san. For to the viewers out there, no, just by personal preference, no one is that comfortable showing their face. Me, I don't personally care. You saw my face already. But to the rest of our people here, they prefer not to. That's completely their. I mean, you cleaned your room, Editor-san. I think you're fine. Relax.
Well, I wasn't like calling him out for that. It was more like an example, because like this is like fine, because this is just kind of this isn't school where like it's actually important to see if your students are focused. Whereas Editor-san, I can be pretty confident that he's focused on his job and like getting stuff done. Whereas these kids, we have bad attention spans already. So for these kids, you just
I feel like I
don't know that they're not like doing, I don't know, Minecraft and not listening to me.
Oh yeah, the
Hi, Editor-san.
putting the, was it Zoom or any other software, just leaving your name and then you're just busy doing something in the background. I probably would do that if I can't stay concentrated. I can't say I've always been concentrated, even when I was attending school in person. You would know your shoulder has been very comfy for me, Francesca, during some of the lectures that we've had.
Biochem.
Oh god.
We were close to the front too. That was the funniest part. We were like third row from the front.
Don't remind me. I feel kind of bad, but it's to be fair, some of the professors can't keep my attention span going, and then because like I took the trolley quite often, it just kills my energy just sitting and traveling. I mean, other than that, so you've been doing well, more or less, sounds like, with school. You're adjusting. So do you think you could do this another semester for the following term, the spring semester?
We'll see. Surprise.
Just a matter of adapting.
Fingers crossed that it's a little bit more smoothly for the spring semester. Once everyone hits winter break, I think our universities are just gonna kind of crack their heads together and see what other options are out there for some students who can't adapt that well to distance learning, but we'll see. But I mean, other than that, the 8th month check-in, or we'll go ahead and sorry, my English is just
we'll delve into the main topics.
There we go. Thank you. Be my other host.
There's a linguistics major coming out right there.
That is true.
Francesca speaks well too.
It's a practice.
It's
a practice.
honestly, I feel like it's gonna take quite some time for me to get comfortable clearly and without mixing up my words a little. I think I watched too many TikToks. I think that's also not helping my English that well either. But like Ruth said, we're gonna go ahead and diving into the topic of the day tonight. You know what? Let's just.
It works. Both of them
good.
work.
It works. It's
They
fine.
both
It's fine.
work.
We're going with it. So, like I said, this episode is about some growing pains, and for the people who are here talking live tonight, is that we're all Filipino, and we're all females, cisgendered women out here, and we've all had similar experiences growing up in a Filipino household, but not all of our experiences are quite the same. So I wanted to spend more or less about an hour to see what it was like for us growing up, especially in the context that we're girls, culturally, socially. What was that like for us? And then since also we have siblings, where does our roles fit in our family dynamic? So that's kind of more or less what I want to talk. Some of us have some of this stuff, but I'll.
Wait, what did you say?
Oh, did my audio cut out?
No, you just went. That's all I heard.
Oh, where did I last left off before I went out? Hello?
Let's see. Well, you said how the rules in our family apply to us, and then
Roles. I meant roles. Yeah. How our roles? What were our roles in our families, basically, and how has that changed now since we're adults and not young girls anymore, essentially? But so I'll go off first since it's my question, and it only
and
be
you're
fair.
the eldest.
Oh, don't remind me. So I turned 24 this year, and I am the oldest in my family. So, and I have a younger sister who's actually home right now, but she's perfectly quiet next door to me. So I like to think that my development as a girl was a little bit more different than my sister, because we actually had different interests growing up. We didn't share a lot of like common hobbies or like common interests per se. So, like for instance, she was more into dance. So she had all the opportunities to do hula, ballet, hip hop, pop, something that is very freeform, very expressive, which is really great. Me, on the other hand, was more of a tomboy. I had a real love-hate relationship with that word, but I'll get into that later. But I was more into video games and sports and action figures and all that stuff. So, luckily for my parents, in both a good and a bad way, they let me keep up with those hobbies or keep up with those sets of interests. They didn't make me feel like I was too much of a tomboy getting into sports or getting into video games. They just think it's relatively unhealthy that I play video games quite often. But in comparison to my sister, they really thrived on her, like, oh, let's go take her to dance practice. Let's go, go to every recital. Let's watch her. And then, if I ask, like, hey, can I get a new video game for for my interest, they're like, wait till your birthday or wait till Christmas. I'm just like, boo. Like, oh, come on. It's like she gets this and I don't get this. So, but those are just some of the things. The only thing that me and my sister had in common together is that we did play music. We did play piano. We did take lessons. I think I kept up with it. My sister fell off to focus more on dancing. Although she did pick it up in high school, she joined band. She did trumpet. But then she also joined color guard. So again, more of the dancing, and actually, although I'm a little ashamed I haven't been able to go to any of her performances except for the ones at school. Sorry, Jazel. Sorry about that. But those were some of the things. But before we could get into the deep comparisons, I'm gonna pass this off to you now, Francesca. What was, in a brief summary, what was it like for you growing up in your household?
So I'm the youngest of 4.
Oof.
I have it alternates. So I have an oldest brother, and then my sister, then my older brother, and me.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up was a lot of living up to everyone else's expectations.
Right.
Like, oh, your older sibling didn't do this, so you have to be able to do this now, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was very academically focused all the time. Didn't really do a lot of extracurriculars. Like I did marching band in high school, so band
Woohoo.
was the constant throughout school, but I didn't do any sports. I didn't join any clubs. Like it was school and band. And that was pretty much it. And then as the youngest in my house, that meant that anybody could boss me around. So that got a little it gets a little much. Still does, but obviously not as bad anymore since we are older. But it definitely did contribute to a lot of how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Just everyone was the boss, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And people, it didn't feel like people were always listening. So,
Oh,
that's how
man.
it is.
I've got a lot to say about the age order, but that could come after.
Oh, yeah. I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all do.
What about
But
you, Ruth?
yeah.
I'm also the youngest in my family. Well, I didn't have an older sister, but I had an aunt who was young enough to be my sister, but she would never allow that because she's like, no, I'm your auntie. But yeah.
You have to call her tita instead of ate.
Oh, I just called her auntie because, yeah, I learned auntie before tita.
I have a lot to say about that too.
Kuya before brother.
I have a lot to say
weird.
about that too. Yeah.
So I was just like kuya, and then I was like,
bro.
Oh yeah, that means brother. It's weird to just like have that word. But anyways, yeah, so it's like whatever they did good surpass that, and whatever they did bad, there are rules that they're gonna implement that are on me, and I have even expectations for that, where it's like, and especially because it didn't help that, because I don't think my parents were even aware of being paranoid around me growing up until Filipino like family friends, those parents had intervened and had implemented seeds into their heads that I would start wearing makeup, I would start seeing boys, I would start going partying, going crazy, when clearly I had none of those interests, and they knew that, and yet somehow they allowed it to affect them. So yeah, it was just really interesting where like I don't have an interest in some things, but also like the restrictions get muddled, and so I kind of felt boxed in. And while like I'm pretty submissive by some overall standards, but I come off as very strong-willed, and I don't always let people tell me what to do, because I'm very much like, no, you need to tell me why I have to do it. It has to make sense for me to do it. Yeah, I just don't like being told to follow blindly like a sheep. Yeah. Just because like I don't like when people demand I have to do something without a logical reason, unless it's like things with like feelings, like I mean, I kind of learned not too long ago that love really isn't ruled by logic, so I can excuse that. But for the longest time, I kind of lived with like, even emotions can be processed logically, and not in like a good way, more like it has to make sense, where sometimes it just doesn't.
I think we've all been in the same boat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
That was long. Sorry.
No.
That's good.
It's perfectly fine because you gave me some things to talk about, especially like when it comes to age order. That's one, and then the boxes that we're in. Like you said, I am the oldest between the two of you,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that we make jokes that I'm the oldest one here, and you know, not that I boss you two around. It's just I do care. I dote on you two quite a lot, as much as I want to, because it's one. Like you said, it's seeds. Also, it's been ingrained in me. It's like you need to care more about people who are younger than you, and then you find yourself close to. It could be like your actual blood sibling or anyone else who's a little younger than you. It doesn't mean that they should be spoiled and they could get away with it. No, absolutely not. I'll rightfully call that out now, but that's me now. When I was younger, definitely let my sister get away with a lot of things that that she could have wanted. But definitely that's not the case anymore. Obviously, it's like, let's tell me a reason why you want me to do something for you, or have it done a certain way. Like, explain. Otherwise, it feels like I'm just listening to your beck and call. But that's another thing. And then, in terms of like, maybe like submissiveness, it's like I tend to be very docile when it comes to my parents telling me what to do, because in my head, growing up, it was just easier to go along with whatever they wanted to avoid retribution. And retribution could clearly range from a couple other things where they scoff, or it could lead to something a little bit more dire, right? It's like you don't want to get judged, and you don't want to be in that weird feeling of like, do something wrong. Why do I feel guilty? I feel angry, but I can't be angry because they're gonna react a certain way. It's harder. But as the eldest, it was just like, set an example for my sister, be a little bit more docile. But to my sister's credit, I'm glad that she didn't do it this way. She was very more outspoken. She knew what she wanted. She knew what she wanted to do with herself, her body, her needs, and she was gonna willfully go get it, which is great. And I know that is often why we butt heads as sisters, but we also butt heads with our parents because they want it done a certain way. We want to do it a different way. And it's not always going to be happy, but you know, it, like I said, growing pains. We kind of learn to deal with our differences more.
Yeah.
But it's different because I only know this as an older sibling who's relatively docile. But I know that now, that when my parents get a little snarky with me, and I know it's unwarranted, I was like, you know, you don't have to talk to me like that. It's not okay. Like, I know that I'm just here to be the person you vent to, but don't hurt my feelings too, because it's just not gonna make me have a good day. So don't do that. But that's, like I said, that's only in my, like, a brief perspective as an older sister, as the oldest in the household. But that's different for the two of you, since you guys are younger than me and you guys are younger siblings. What was that like for you, Francesca?
Well, growing up, especially because I had two brothers in addition to my older sister, so I really saw the gender difference within our culture, like the way my parents would treat my brothers versus they would treat my sister and myself. And it was, the boys got a lot more leeway. Right. They were able to go out with their friends all the time, and like, if they didn't tell my parents where they're going, it's fine. Like, they just come home, you're safe, you're fine. But if my sister or I wanted to go somewhere, it'd be like, oh, who are you going with? What time? Where are you? Text me when you are at the place you're supposed to be. And you better be where you said you were going to be. And if you ask, they're more likely to say, no, you can't go.
Give me 2 or 3 business days.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And so then a lot of the times my sister, she, like your sister, my sister was very strong-willed, and like, just, she wanted the freedom that she saw that our oldest brother had. And so she would go out with her friends, and I remember she would always come home and get in trouble because she did something that our oldest brother did. And he wouldn't get in trouble for this, but because she's a girl, they'd be like, oh, you didn't call us, you didn't tell us, you were out so late. When she would still get home, you know, at a decent time. Like, she'd get home by 10 during high school. Like, she would still get home before 10, and she was just at a friend's house, but because she didn't like update my parents every hour, she's in trouble. And so then I learned very quickly that I just need to not rock the boat, because I already hear it with my parents, my mom especially, clashing with my sister. And then with my older brother, he had the freedoms. Like, he could go and do what he wanted. He could hang out with a friend until like midnight, and it's fine. But if I hang out with a friend past when it gets dark, I'm in trouble. And so even now, I'll notice like he's allowed to react more strongly to things without anyone telling him, oh, you're overreacting or you're being silly. And then if I like raise my voice a little bit, not even yelling, but just like talking more firmly, I am being dramatic and I am being difficult. And why am I talking back to people? That is one thing my mom especially, and also my dad, have very big issues with, is don't talk back to me. And that's just like if I change my tone of voice. And it's very frustrating because you can see that clearly my brother was almost yelling the other day, and they didn't say anything about his tone of voice. They didn't say anything about him reacting a certain way. They just let it roll right off their shoulders. And so growing up, I would see a lot of that, like difference in just treating us the way you treat us people, because you're treating me as a girl and them as a boy, and not just me as one of your 4 children.
It really feels like playing, like, in a way, Game of Thrones. Like, you're trying to how to pick and choose who you want to like side with. Like, do you want to like feel like you need to agree with your siblings? Like, oh yeah, my parents are totally unreasonable, but at the same time, it's like you're getting better treatment than I do. What the heck? Like poke the stick, and like
it
sometimes
does build up resentment.
Oh yeah,
a bit. It's unfortunate, and it's like it's resentment toward them, even though it's not necessarily their fault, because they don't realize the difference. And like growing up, I've always trying to explain to my brothers, like, oh, you're getting treated differently than my sister or I am, and like you don't get the difference. And they don't even know how to respond to that, because they don't understand how different it is for us versus them, because they don't live the way my sister and I lived, even though we're in the same house.
And especially since you have brothers and not just a sister. Well, before we get carried more into it, because there's other follow-up questions I have for it as well. We're gonna pass this back to Ruth. Is that the same for you? Like growing resentment or knowing that their treatments were different between you and your older sibling?
It wasn't that bad, especially since like I didn't have much interest in going out anyways.
That's just
and
preference.
I just I think I just didn't even see it as a thing, because I guess I was more into watching TV or going to my computer. But yeah, I mean, I was disappointed not being able to hang out, go outside, and like I could go outside just
6 feet apart.
To school.
Right.
But like I couldn't go to friends' birthday parties, and so like I was just not invited anymore, because like they just expected that. So it's not really that I didn't really have a sense of what I was missing, because I just wasn't invited anymore. So it was like, and I'm not even aware of it. And then I was sucked into technology anyway, so
it worked out for you in a way.
Yeah, kind of. Plus, like, while I was like very argumentative and like strong-willed, I was still a relatively, I think, good daughter in a way.
Good daughter.
Good enough.
You're enough. You're always enough. Especially here, you're enough for me. Honestly.
Oh.
I really do mean it though.
Always.
Finger hearts, for those who can't see it. I know for some of my listeners here from the gottastudy crew, they know that I do finger hearts a lot on camera, but if you can see it now, I'm doing it. But you are enough. Honestly, you are enough. And I guess like bridging to another thing that I was thinking about is that a lot, especially when it comes to siblings, we often wonder like if we are enough for our parents. One, for like parents' attention and time and love and affection, among all those other things. Like self-worth has been very up and down. At least for me, it's really been up and down. Like, am I good enough for this? Like, I don't have their support. And there was actually something I was looking at. I think it was Twitter. I know this probably got like retweeted over and over again and just quoted by different people. It's just you shouldn't have to wait for parents' approval to start succeeding, or somewhere along those lines. Like, don't wait for a yes, just do it, and then hear the praise and everything else that comes after. Right. So a lot of the things I felt like I should have done, I should have just done it just to do it. But then I was waiting for parents' approval first, then I would never do it. So that's something that I probably would have told my younger self when I was like 15. Like, sure, like, should I do academic decathlon? Or should I do, more sports that are more my style? Or should I keep continuing doing martial arts? Or should I ask to start violin lessons? Or all those things. I should have just asked and done it instead of worrying about them saying no. And that's, I guess, a big part of my relationship with my parents. Is like, I was too worried for them to say no, so then I stopped asking.
Yes.
Right? So
exactly.
Like, yeah, so like you said, going out, right? Like, the joke, wait 2 or 3 business days before you could say yes. Like, oh, did you give me a reason to say yes today?
Yeah, you had to justify it.
You had to
justify
it.
why you are deserving of going out, which is you wanted to go and hang out with people. That's all the justification you really needed.
It's like, I need
but
my
they
friends.
Needed you to tell them more.
Yeah, it's like, I need my friends. Social development is great. I need to feel like I'm connected to my peers. Like, not to say I'm locked in the dungeon all the time. I would say not really. Physically, probably. It's like, I like the physical closeness that I could see my friends every day. Yes, technology did help, like video games, voice call, telephone, text messaging does help. But I know a part of me deep down inside is like, I need to connect with people at a physical level.
Right. Like, well, because there's a difference between talking to them on the phone and seeing them versus like physically giving them a hug or just like sitting next to the person.
It's nicer. So it definitely made making connections as an adult, it was a little weirder and harder too, because you're stuck in this kind of like, is this too much? Is this not enough? Like, can you keep me as a friend? Can I sustain a relationship with you? Type of thing. Those were some of the things that I had to really find my way around, especially when it comes to making professional connections. Also, you're not just making friends out there, you're trying to network into a bigger world to get, your names out there, find jobs, careers, stuff like that. But, some of those complications that we had with our development mates, it makes it a little difficult to be more comfortable in that. So luckily now, I like to say that I'm getting a little bit more out there with myself, being a little bit more risk-taking with the people I would talk to. It's just how it is now. And now that we're back to social distancing now, we're definitely a little bit more reliant with technology to really connect with people, because part of the quarantine feels like to me it's like I'm doing like I'm back when I'm 16 and I'm just waiting for summer break to be over just so I could see my friends in the fall. But I like to think now that most of my friends who stay consistent with me past high school, past college, have been really gracious enough to know, like, hey, we're kind of just trying to figure it all out. But hopefully when we get back together, we still treat it as if we're the same, and then it's not like, yeah, I'm dropping this girl because she's not wanting to talk to me. Hopefully not, but that was definitely a different tangent that I wasn't expecting to go on. But those were just some of the things that I've had to worry about with my parents. They always said no before, and then, like I said, when I was older, like in my 20s, it's like, well, why didn't you say so before? I'm just like, oh, great.
I did.
I did, but
the thing is, you did, and then you would get shot down. So then you learn to stop, and so then when you go back and revisit, it's like, yes, I could have said something all those times, but I just remember what it felt like the first time you said no.
Kind of soul crushing, not gonna lie. It's like saying no to a puppy. And puppy eyes, like, but you can't. Well, there is like showing emotion. You can't show emotion that well because it's a bargaining chip for some families out there. depending on who, it's like sometimes those emotions are bargaining chips. And it could be
Right.
used against you, which was not okay. It's definitely not okay to do that now in any relationship. But to some of
That's
us here,
manipulation.
to some of us here, have experienced what that felt like. It's like, oh, you're gonna cry now. It's like, oh, it's like, why are you losing your temper now? Stuff like that. But it's definitely not okay. I wouldn't want anybody to feel those feelings, especially as a young kid. Even as an adult, it's not
Right.
appropriate. But those were some of the things that
Well,
I dealt with. But
mhm.
pass it back to you guys.
It was also hard because then, especially because we're females, they'd be like, "Oh, you're emotional because you're a girl. Oh, are you emotional because you're on your period?" They always would say that. Are you on
Yeah.
your period right now?
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think we mentioned this on our first
We did.
show, right?
Yeah, we
Where
could pop back into that, like,
yeah,
especially with our periods. It's like, are you on it now? It's like, do you want my calendar up for everyone to see so you could exactly know when you're allowed to use that phrase? You should never use that phrase, by the way.
never,
Never.
ever.
But it's just like,
harsh.
did you want me to literally let that out there so you know when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? And even if you
Right.
knew when I was feeling that way, it's not accurate. It's not always accurate.
I found a lot of the times when I was actually on my period, I started to behave even more like aware of how I'm emotionally responding. Like a lot of the times when I'm on my period, I'm actually less emotional in response to something. Like I'm much more like monotone with things because I know if I raise my voice a little bit, there's the possibility of, are you on your period?
Are you just more hyper aware?
I think like I don't think any day I have a different, like, really significant different emotion. Like, it's, I mean, with the kind of person I am, there are just days where it's really bad, like, emotionally. But that's just a day. It's not necessarily because of my period. But because I'm so used to hearing people say, oh, you're just being emotional because you're on your period, you're being extra emotional because you're a girl on your period on this day, I have learned to repress my emotions normally. And then on my week or however long it is for my period, I will just like shut down the emotion as much as I can because I am not in the mood for it.
You're getting
Because then
double nailed in for
yes.
two things that, one, you can't control. One, your biological sex, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Exactly.
two, a little cycle that happens every month. Like, come on. Like, give us a break, honestly.
Right.
I mean, what about you, Ruth? Is that more or less the same for you? When you're on your period, you feel like you needed to tone down a couple of your emotions just so people don't ask you questions like, you're on your period, are you PMSing, are you just an angry woman on a rage of hormones?
I actually never got asked that
Really?
question.
Oh.
I just like heard it from other people, or I would hear it happen to other people. But for me, that wasn't the case. Yeah. So, and then I didn't have I don't think I had the whole emotional bargaining chip stuff. Yeah.
Something else.
It's something else. Like I said, it's not, everyone doesn't have that type of upbringing, but I was just wondering if that was a case for you, but it seems like no.
I think overall in our culture, I find it's pretty common. So, like, I think, Ruth, you might be an exception to the case because I know I've experienced that constantly.
I know that I have.
No, I've heard it from a lot of other people.
It's
don't weaponize people's emotions, please.
Yeah, just especially since, like, if we're loosely going off on our history, just growing up, women and their emotions have been used for things to fit
oppress them.
Huh?
Yes.
To oppress them, yeah.
Yeah, to oppress them. Like like even the person. Actually, no, I take that back. Before I get all my facts wrong, before I get caught, it's like, yo, you got this fact wrong. It's like, okay, I stopped myself before I got ahead of myself. But weaponizing emotions, even not just as one, but just to another person, that's downright cruel. Like, don't do that, because some of those lingering insecurities and anxieties about how we deal with our emotions and how we cope with our emotions it doesn't translate that well into adulthood. You some
Mm-hmm.
people get a little too worried about those little things. Like you said, like raising your voice, right? I find myself catching myself like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm the yelling type, especially like in public. Even if I'm talking to my
Mm-hmm.
friends, I know that sometimes like when I feel like I'm a little too loud, it's like okay, I gotta chill out, I gotta relax before someone else looks my way and starts to comment, right? Or
Right.
then even if it's not someone I know, if I hear someone's voice getting a little louder, I get a little
Mm-hmm.
worried. You know, every now and then it's like, is that person getting angry or they're just being more excited?
Right.
And you know, it's just like some of those things like, why do you look so tense? It's like, loosen up. It's like it's just
We're
some
trying.
yeah, it's just some lingering anxieties, but those are some of the things that does follow into adulthood. Definitely want to tell my like 16, 15 to 13-year-old self, like, not everything is out to get you. Like, you need to breathe. Like, you need to breathe. Do what you need to do. Do what makes you happy. Don't do it because your parents want you to. And don't compare yourself to your siblings. It's a different type of mind game, because just kind of like, don't pit women against other women. Don't pit your siblings against siblings either.
You're never gonna get where you want to be
If you're
for that.
Mhm.
Like, there will always be something that they did that you didn't do, or you wanted to do that
And they should
they somehow
celebrate
got.
it. They need to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate. Like, if you didn't get the things that you wanted, maybe there was something else out there for you that will fit your interest and your talents. Like, for instance, like, I'm like, Francesca, I know you do crochet work, which is great, and you're wearing a essentially literally a skull cap
Mm-hmm.
on your head. But that is something that I'm sure not every sibling in your household shares. Maybe a common interest, but you've been really developing that skill. And then, like, me and my sister, she's into makeup products, like dressing up, looking great, you know, hair products and all that stuff, but it's not me. Instead, I would rather just do art and music, and then obviously this podcast. But and I know, Ruth, like, you're more into like your groups. I say like music groups. You like staying home, just watching content. Fill your brain with all these fandoms that you're in. I know you have a lot. Do you?
She's
I like.
thinking about.
She's thinking
She's
about
categorizing
it.
I don't think it's that much. Like, I really don't follow that many groups anymore.
Oh, there it is.
Anymore. There's the condition.
Anymore, but
That's
you
awesome.
have groups that you follow.
High school was different.
High school. High school.
High school was a different experience because we were, as we said before, we were in the house a lot more.
Mhm. But
Mm.
I mean, as far as being different, and was my English, catch up with me, please. It celebrate your individuality, especially in family. Like, you're not supposed to be cookie cutter. Otherwise, it's just
Boring.
And then, you know, it's like, what do you have to be proud of? Or I'm just a carbon copy of somebody else. It's not that not that it's not fun or it doesn't make it exciting. It's just what makes you celebrate your unique,
Especially you twins out there.
especially out there.
Especially
You
twins.
guys get the most comparisons.
They'll always ask.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm so sorry to y'all.
Knowing twins, like my aunts are identical twins. They're very different. They
That's
are
good.
very different. That's trying to compare them is you don't do it because
apples to oranges.
I know apples to oranges, even though they look the same. Like, to other people I know, they can't tell the difference between the two, but since I grew up with them, I can tell apart by voice alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, for me, they've always been separate individuals. And sure, they share some commonalities, but it's the same idea as, like, just with siblings, that they have certain aspects that are the same, but they are, of course, their own person. So all you twins out there, you're your own person.
Especially to
Indeed.
at least for some of the Filipino family members, don't compare your cousins either. Especially if you have same age cousins. I know that this has happened in between my cousins. Like, oh, you know, so and so is the golden child. Why aren't you doing this? I feel like sometimes I had to apologize for that to my cousins when I was staying over at their place for quarantine. I feel like sometimes I had to apologize. It's just like, I don't mean to do, like, set the bar for you. And that's not like I was doing it on purpose or anything. It's just the parents talk. They talk a lot. And it's not fair, too, but the closest cousin I have is a girl, too. And we're similar in terms of, like our fashion, our interest. We get along very well. We like to joke around a lot, but, like, in terms of like personal achievements, they like to compare that quite often. And it's just like it's not a comparison. One, I'm not raised in their household, so you can't say that I would have done any better or any worse if I was living with you. And then same here. It's like if she was living with me in this household, it still wouldn't be fair to her either. It's like no. We grew up differently. Our parents similar in terms of child rearing styles, but we grew up very, very differently. But celebrate what makes us different and be proud of what our family members can accomplish separately. So that's some of those things that I would like our viewers to think about. Like if you have siblings or cousins or family members who are close to age with you or not the same age as you, like think about how you've talked to them recently. Is it a competition or is it a celebration? Like, oh, you got an interview this week. Congratulations. What's it like? You know, give me some tips so I could do that too for, you know, maybe another career that I'm interested in or some hobbies. Like, what have you been up to lately? You know, but don't make it seem like you're trying to get some brownie points. Like, really feel genuine about asking some of these questions, because if there's anything that I don't like hearing from family members or from friends or some like even like professional colleagues, it's like, what have you been doing and what have you go for it? It's just like we're kind of going at our own pace. Even as women out there, we're just like we're trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure it out. Give some space, and when we are ready to tell you what we have accomplished, we'll tell you, and then let's celebrate it together without trying to pin each other down. Like, please don't pin each other down, especially when women have been dogging each other since the dawn of time. I wouldn't say dawn of time, for the records of civilization. We'll say it like that.
For us to remember.
For us to remember. But those were just some of the thoughts that I had, especially when it comes to how we grew up as Filipinas, and how competition is just nasty, even at the family level and even when we go to some of our friends. So don't do that to each other. Any thoughts on that?
Competition?
Like competition,
just comparing one another.
Yeah, like for instance.
No, I thought you said composition.
Oh,
that one, like just recently, it sounded like you just said composition, and I was like, hold on.
I can't compose
competition.
Anything. I can compose. I'm not a composer. I can tell you that much. I can't compose to save my life. Maybe like a sick rap in like 2 seconds in like in fear.
We're gonna have to challenge you later then. See what happens.
See, I like to rap. That's
it. Okay, before you dig yourself. Anyways, to wrap this section up, life is not a competition except with yourself. Compete against yourself. Challenge yourself to grow more, be better.
Ooh, that's
always.
Right.
Ooh,
that
I need that on a shirt.
Right.
I need that on a shirt.
Merch?
Huh? Merch? Oh, no. I got no merch.
Never mind. My bad. Sorry, guys. No merch.
No merch. I'm not sponsored yet. I hope one day, anyone who's out there who could sponsor me, please sponsor me. Support female empowerment. Support Fulfilling Destiny. If you like dropping a monetary donation to our program, please click the links down below. Or if you'd like, any feminine hygiene products that you're currently not using, and when I mean not using, like bare pads, tampons, panty liners, unused undies, and I mean like clearly still wrapped in the box that it's or bag that it's in.
They're new,
flushable wipes, soap, and even like brushes too. That they have access to the bathroom. Send them our way, or contact my way, so we can host packing parties. So we could obviously get these out monthly. I would like to say monthly to our community members who are experiencing, because pandemics don't stop periods, and periods don't stop for pandemics. So we're going in our 8th month, so let's keep the ball rolling. Let's like support our community members as much as we can if you're able to at this current moment. Other than that, I'm trying to. I think it's because of the time change. It is October 30th. We're about to go into daylight savings here in the West Coast, or at least in the United States.
Getting off of it.
Right.
We're going back to standard time.
Yes, we're getting sleep back. Oh my goodness. I don't care about sunlight. I care about sleep. That's all I care about. I don't understand why people are like, oh, but it's so much nicer with sunlight. No, my sleep is more important than sunlight. I don't care. I'm not a plant. I need photosynthesis. I'll get my sunlight when there's sunlight.
I know I'm light sensitive too, so I can't even stay at the sun as much as I'd like to. It's just not my thing. I like staying indoors. It wears me out honestly faster if I am in the sun for too long. I have to close the blinds at some point. Don't forget to reset your clocks. Just unless you have a smartphone, it'll do it for you. But if you have manual clocks lying around, be sure to change them just in case. Because I know people have been late to work that way multiple times. Even school.
Oh no, people get late going forward.
Both.
Leave it on
It's
so that
both.
you're always panicking and you get early. That's what I used to do.
That's
Oh,
what I used to do in my house. Freaking out all the time, like worrying, am I going to get there? Then get there early.
Yeah, my mom would actually come into my room to change my clocks for me, and I'm just like, what are you doing? It's just like, I'm changing her clock. It's like, yeah, I could do that. It's like, no, you're gonna forget. I'm gonna do it for you. It's like, okay. And I'm just like, I'm knocked out too. It's just like, who's in my room? But that's just my funny intro of that. But be mindful for those who are living in the US. Your clocks are going to change.
Some
of you out there. To some of my international viewers out there who don't need to change their clocks at all, you're lucky. Because I would rather just keep it flat. It will never have to change. You know, doesn't matter if the sun is up or down. Huh?
Not forward, because my sleep is important. I'm not going to lose an hour of sleep for y'all people for the rest of my life. That's why I'm moving out of this country. I value my sleep.
Go to Japan.
Bye.
As you should. You should value your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with all the emotions too.
Exactly. It's just like, I can make time out of my day to get some sunlight. I can't just reverse the hour because everyone else is going on that hour. I have to follow them.
It's weird.
Oh, yes.
I didn't understand. Like, what? We changed the times?
It was originally for farmers, but yeah, I don't think we need those anymore.
I'd argue we still kind of do. Well,
no,
I don't think we need that time change.
Oh, the time change, yes.
For the farmers,
I thought
the farmers can do that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But speaking of the time change, it does mean it's getting colder. It does mean it gets darker sooner. If we're gonna bring this back to the community itself, I know this is probably farther down the line, aside from feminine hygiene bags that could be considered to be donated. If you do have spare blankets, jackets, hats, gloves that you are not using right now, consider also donating them to socks. Consider donating them to your local homeless shelter as well, because the streets are going to get colder. I know, at least for in California, it does get pretty cold. It could go as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know in Celsius. I'm so sorry for my international viewers out there. 50
can get as low as 30 sometimes.
Depends on where, yeah. Especially since ice could cover the streets where you're from. And then it also rains quite frequently in the winter here in California, Southern California. If you have any of those other things that you're not using, even umbrellas. I would say even umbrellas are quite useful. Consider donating to your local homeless shelter. And then, again, of course, feminine hygiene bags are always, always, always crucial, especially to our women and children who are experiencing homelessness right now. And it's not expected to change, especially since we're going to continue on with the pandemic as it is right now. It's such a weird note to end it on, but just be mindful. The holidays are a little different. it might get a little harder for some people out there who don't have a home, who don't have heat or like electricity or running water, showers, all those other things. Let's again be a little bit more mindful of how we treat others out there. It's gonna be a little bit rough for people out there, so be mindful for those things. And such a weird note to end it on. But I'm gonna go ahead and say for our closing thoughts for this episode. So you two, any last comments you want to share to our viewers out there before you go ahead and wrap it up?
Try your best to treat people as equals rather than as a man and a woman. Try to just treat every gender expression with the same dignity.
Honestly, thank you. Treat merit. It's merit. Like, if you have experience and you have, walk the walk, talk the talk also. Like, be proud of what you're able to accomplish. Even if it's small, be proud of it. Even if it's big, be proud of it. Don't downplay what you're able to do. Like, talk about yourself. Like, be proud of it. Just do it. Like, if you have a question in your mind or a project that you haven't started yet, just do it. Honestly, it's gonna come out a lot better than what you expected, in my opinion. I totally do it. This podcast. Sorry, I'm just being my usual self. Sorry. Go ahead, Ruth.
Anything?
Since we talked about culture, well, we only talked about our experiences as Filipino Americans and as females. But yeah, we don't know every culture, every single experience out there, and there's so much nuance and so much more that you could get into. And even with all the diversity that we have in the US, we're still very much ignorant. There's still like discrimination, prejudice, like racism. So just don't hold yourself to thinking that you have to know, and like you have to know everything about every single culture and their experience. You can learn as time goes on, because it's not a sin to be ignorant. It's a sin once you actually know. So just remember that. Don't go crucifying anyone for their ignorance. And yeah, it's not good for other people to crucify you for your ignorance, because we're all just learning in this life. So yeah, just remember.
I love that you put that in there, because that's what literally this podcast is about. I've said this before when I put this project out there for my founder and the board of directors, is that this is a place to talk about those things. Like, I like to say I'm very ignorant too. Like you said, I only know perspectives of female development, socially, culturally, in the perspective as a Filipina, the eldest Filipina. But it's not the same, like, say, apples to oranges to any other culture out there who may or may have not experienced those things. As far as ignorance goes, like you said, it's only ignorant if you know them and you choose to ignore them. But if you're being exposed to it, do take the time to at least understand where they're coming from, but don't crucify others for getting it wrong. Like, say, like the first time or the second time, because it takes a lot for the other person, like other person meaning like the ignorant person, to open up and learn. It's a lot of emotional work to do. So, if you want someone to learn and they do get it wrong, maybe the first couple times, just be patient. Like, they'll come around, they will learn, and then once they figure it out and they know how to do better, be better, then it's fine. Then you built an ally, and you didn't build an enemy. And we need more allies, especially with are you is this the Finding Nemo anemone? Yeah, I knew it. I saw your mouth move. No, you're fine.
I thought it too.
I just mouthed it.
I thought of it as she was saying it.
Shh, don't judge me. Anyways, but like I said, build allies, build bridges to people who want to know better and learn better about themselves and the community out there. Don't build walls, don't build enemies that way. So let's be more patient with each other.
Gatekeeping.
Be gatekeeping. And just be patient with each other. I say this a lot in every episode. It's like, be patient, be kind, be understanding, don't be a jerk. It's just as simple
Treat
as
everyone with respect.
the golden
And
rule.
understand.
Respect and
understand
understanding.
And understand that, like we said or mentioned a lot, is that even though we're all Filipino American and females, we still had some differences in how we grew up, because no culture is a monolith. We're not all going to have the same experiences. There's diversity even in homogenous, I say that with quotations, countries, because as much as you like to say, oh, there's so much diversity in the US, there's so much diversity in India and other countries that are generally because we're all individuals, as we said before. We're all just different, unique, special individuals. Maybe you don't feel special, but you are.
You are to somebody out there.
You don't need a gold star to prove it.
Thank you. You don't need a gold star. If anything, if you're looking for that, I give you good noodle star. I love you, whoever is out there. If you need approval or praise, you have it. Someone out there loves you, who loves what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Honestly, do it at your own pace. Take it slow. Good things will come. Just keep at it. If it's a hobby you're working on, practice. If it's like singing in the shower, we're sing in the shower. Do it do things unapologetically. Like, share your work, the rough and then the refined. Embrace your individuality. Don't be afraid to seek something greater for yourself without the worries of other people who are getting compared to you. Be you. Be happy. I should put this on a shirt. Like, merch drop right here.
Yours, Ruth's, other ones that can pop up.
Yeah, mine's Ruth's. I mean, if anyone wants to make me a shirt, email me in the business inquiry. I'm just joking. I'm joking. Or, we're not going to name drop companies, but companies out there, if you want to sponsor this podcast and support women, let me know. Fulfilling Destiny would love that. I mean, on that note, I think we're a good place to stop for today. So to everyone who's been listening, especially here in the US or abroad, thank you for stopping by for about an hour to hear us talk about some of the nuances and perspectives of being female or cisgendered females in a Filipino culture. And then we are all different. We're all different. My experiences are not the same as Francesca's. Francesca's not the same as Ruth, and then vice versa all the way around. We love each other, and we love you. And until next week, which I'll be joined again with Elise, Gary, and another guest, Nicole, but I'm sorry to say I forgot your last name. Please don't crucify me for it. But I know you're going to be there. We're going to be Forgive. We will be talking about LGBTQ and all of our allies. We're going to be spending an hour talking about some of those topics that not a lot of people are comfortable to share. And that's just your forewarning now for the next episode. For everyone who's interested to tune in, it will be recorded. It will drop live. I can't say live, but it will drop on Fridays at 6 p.m. Spotify 6 p.m. too for next week. As far as this episode goes, it will end. And when this ends, for Spotify viewers, you will get this new episode by the evening tomorrow, Saturday, 6 p.m. Okay? Other than that, that'll be all from me today. I'm your host, Jan-Marini Pacleb. Thank you to Francesca, Guerrero, and Ruth Ortiz for joining me tonight. And we're gonna take this conversation elsewhere on our off camera. But again, thank you everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.